Next on Worcester News Tonight, the Pope continues his tour of the Americas with a stop in Washington, D.C. And a new face tonight at the Hanover Theatre. Good evening, thanks for joining us. I'm Tim McCone. We begin tonight with a new face in downtown Worcester. We first told you about the mural being done in the back of the Hanover Theatre a couple of weeks ago. Today, Australian artist Damien Mitchell unveiled the finished project, which has taken him the whole month of September to create. The mural is 75 feet by 65 feet and was painted using 250 cans of spray paint. Mitchell says he prefers the uniqueness of outdoor art.
The biggest difference is this is going to wear away after a while. You know what I mean? Art in a gallery is going to stay in its frame. It's going to stay nice, and you know where it's going to be. It's going to be in the gallery. This, it's going to change over time. You know, that's the kind of beauty of this art. It's an ephemeral art form. It's always changing. I think art in the street is the kind of art I like.
Oh, I think it's great. It's so attention-getting. It's very kind of evocative of theater. You could believe that she's in a show and in makeup. You could believe that she's in the audience watching a show. Without being prescriptive, it's evocative of theater.
The mural is part of the city's Make Art Everywhere campaign. Well, it's a big day for Pope Francis and American Catholics as the pontiff began his first tour of the U.S. In Washington, D.C., he's making several stops throughout the city, interacting with the crowds and blessing children. Our Greg Whalen has more.
Holy Father, on behalf of Michelle and myself, welcome to the White House.
Pageantry had been the backdrop for the Pope's renowned humility, along with praise from the President for Catholics and their spiritual leader. Francis I had already greeted scores of young people who got a first look, first touch, first selfies, and the first papal hugs. The long morning amounted to a jubilant Capitol welcome for the pontiff amid very tight security that didn't prevent a bodyguard from carrying a young girl out to a delighted Francis in his Pope-mobile for a hug. During his welcome, the non-Catholic president praised the Pope and all Catholics for their concern for the poor, but may have surprised some when he cited the need for religious freedom, though his administration has clashed with American Catholic bishops over the issue of religious exceptions to certain provisions in Obamacare.
You remind us that people are only truly free when they can practice their faith freely.
Less surprising were Obama's references to easing the plight of immigrants and refugees, a hot-button domestic issue, also to the easing of relations with Cuba, which he credited in part to Francis's efforts, and to climate change.
And Holy Father, you remind us that we have a sacred obligation to protect our planet.
And the first Pope from the Americas, speaking with difficulty in English, immediately declared himself a son of immigrants and also honed in on the theme of religious freedom.
Respect their deepest concerns and the right to religious liberty.
But he did not disappoint his hosts on the issue of climate change.
Accepting the urgency, it seems clear to me also that climate change is a problem we can no longer be left to a future generation.
Then came a cathedral meeting with American bishops, speaking through an interpreter, the Pope telling them to be shepherds to all people, acknowledging their efforts to win back their trust and authority in the wake of the clergy sex abuse crisis.
And we have to hope that such crimes will never repeat themselves.
Greg Wayland for Worcester News Tonight.
Some Assumption College students and the college president will be making the once-in-a-lifetime trip to see the Pope. Our Olivia Lemon caught up with them today before they hit the road.
Whenever a pope comes to the people, it's a moment of great joy and a moment of great exultation.
Francesco Cesareo says Pope Francis's visit to the United States gives Catholics an opportunity to reflect on their faith. The Assumption College president is going to Philadelphia for the World Meeting of Families Papal Mass.
Having him among us, especially if this is the first time that he's ever visited the United States, is an important moment for the Church in the United States and for the United States in general.
Cesareo says he believes the Pope will reaffirm the importance of family as an institution for society.
I anticipate that the Holy Father will both encourage families to continue to be strong and to work together to strengthen the bonds of the family.
Cesareo says as a Catholic school, Assumption teaches students family is a critical part of their culture. 31 Assumption students are going to Philadelphia for the Papal Mass this weekend.
I know there's going to be a lot of people there, so I'm very excited to celebrate with all those fellow Catholics and to simply celebrate Mass with the Pope. That's just going to be an amazing experience.
I'm really excited because I've never been in an area where there's over 1 million people there who all love the Catholic Church and want to see the Pope.
They're very excited because they feel that this is an opportunity that they may never have again.
Cesareo met Pope Francis last year at a conference in Rome. He says the Pope has inspired many young Catholics.
Francis is a pope who needs to be with the people and needs to communicate with the people on that affective level, and to demonstrate to them his concern, his pastoral approach.
Olivia Lemon, Worcester News Tonight.
Authorities conducting a new search today in their quest for justice for Bellabon, the 2-year-old girl we knew for months simply as Baby Doe. Today, police pulled out key evidence from the home where little Bella lived. Catherine Sotnick has more.
State police investigators back at Maxwell Street in Dorchester, the place where prosecutors allege 2-year-old Bella Bond was killed.
They had a police car down at the end of the street blocking it.
A source close to the investigation tells NECN investigators confiscated a refrigerator and a mattress.
Oh, I just seen 4 detectives carry the refrigerator, put it on a gray truck, pickup truck. That was it. They had it tied down, they had gloves on.
Bella's mother, 40-year-old Rachel Bond, is now charged with accessory after the fact to murder in her killing. Her boyfriend, 35-year-old Michael McCarthy, charged with her murder, allegedly punching her in the abdomen until she went lifeless in a bedroom in the apartment around bedtime. Prosecutors also allege her body was stored in the refrigerator in the apartment until McCarthy allegedly put it in a duffel bag and then dumped it into Boston Harbor.
It's a white refrigerator, 22 cubic inch, looked kind of large, you know. Said that a child was in it.
Bella's body ultimately washed up on Deer Island back in June, and for months she was only known as Baby Doe. Neighbor Anthony Lavelle says he only saw her outside playing once with McCarthy nearby, and he says McCarthy became upset when a ball rolled in his direction.
She had a stick in the grass and she was playing and the ball rolled over to him and then he kind of yelled at her. And that, that's all I can say about that.
Congressman Jim McGovern announces today that the Department of Homeland Security has awarded the Worcester Fire Department a grant worth a little more than $51,000. The grant is given to support firefighters' operations and safety. With the money, the Worcester Fire Department will be able to purchase 260 units of attack hose and 56 units of supply hose.
We got $51,000 to buy hose that will augment the supply that we have now on the trucks so that we have some extra in the wintertime, especially to be able to use. And it's anytime we can get a grant from the federal government to help us augment our equipment is great for us.
Worcester police are investigating an overnight stabbing. Police say a 22-year-old man went to the emergency room a little before 1 o'clock this morning. He told police he got out of a cab in the area of Commercial Street and Mechanic Street and was attacked by a group of men. He was stabbed twice as he tried to escape. Thankfully, he's listed in stable condition. Anyone with information is asked to call police. Meanwhile, police in Gardner, Massachusetts need your help identifying this man suspected of robbing the Citizens Bank on Timpney Boulevard. Officials say they got the call around 6:45 last night. The suspect is described as a white male standing around 5'7" with a medium build. Officials say the suspect did not show a weapon and fled on foot. If you have any information, please contact police. Auburn police are warning residents of an injured coyote first seen on Saturday. The animal has a large wound on its left side. It was seen today near the Rocketland Park and yesterday near Bryn Mawr School and Swanson Intermediate School. Officers were at both locations this morning and at dismissal as a precaution.
The reason we deployed police officers to the school is we're concerned that the coyote may be overly aggressive because it was observed to be injured. So just out of an abundance of caution, we're making sure that there's police officers in the area and that they can take care of the animal if it does show up. We're just trying to ensure the safety of all the kids.
Police say a trap has been set. They're hoping to capture the animal within the next day or so. You're asked to call Auburn police if you see the coyote. Well, the start of fall season means there will be some focus on trees to watch the leaves change color. Here in Worcester, one group is looking to add trees to the area, but it has nothing to do with foliage. Our Andy Madison explains.
David Johnston picked up 2 new trees today.
We were looking for something that wouldn't compete with the 40, 50-foot tall oaks that are left, but that would fill in a space and would also be pretty, and Derek recommended the red buds.
The red buds are for his home on Wilkinson Street to replace the ones he lost a long time ago.
In one swoop in 2008, 2009, we lost a dozen maples, good-sized trees that were all beetle infested.
Infested by Asian longhorn beetles, which forced the USDA to cut them down along with many others across the city.
They also help the tree breathe.
Trees the Worcester Tree Initiative are trying to bring back. The 2 Johnston took home today are among 50 the group is planting across the city.
We've moved sort of beyond that pest. We all need to take care of the trees that have been planted and just to try to have a thriving urban forest.
One area the group is focusing on is the Burncoat neighborhood, which has lost close to 30,000 trees over the last several years. Johnston says he has noticed a change.
The trees that were planted 5 years ago are sizable now. They cast shadows, they're taller.
And that's what the group is striving for.
Urban trees are important for a lot of reasons.
Sprucing up the city, one tree at a time. Andy Madison, Worcester News Tonight.